Hey, welcome back to Troll Time. I'm your host, Ivan D. Curtis, aka the Troll King, and this is a show where we talk sports, movies, and anything thought provoking. Today we're back talking about the WNBA. One thing I want you to do is, before we get into this, is make sure you go watch the episode where I interviewed Dzifa Mallet. He's a filmmaker, an actor, has a new movie out, The Remedy for a Broken Heart. So make sure you check that out. This episode, we'll be talking about the WNBA. Of course, we're in the playoffs. It was just one game last night. It was the Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx. I don't do this show by myself. So I'll bring in my brother. Hey, Willie, what's going on with you?
Man, what's going on? We battled it through, but we good, man. I couldn't wait to get on here and talk about what's going on with the W.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, as you mentioned before, a few episodes back, this is kind of the bittersweet moment of any sport in playoffs. We're getting closer to a champion, but we're also getting closer to the season being over. In this case, like I said last night, we had the Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx defeated the Connecticut Sun in Game 5 of the semifinals, 88-77. This game, Minnesota came out and, pretty much met business early. They led 31-18 after the first quarter. And to me, Connecticut was the type of team that they couldn't afford to get down early double digits. They're not a explosive offensive team to put themselves in that type of situation. I want to let you get this started, Willie, and then I'll come back and kick in some numbers. But just give you a breakdown of last night's semifinal game.
Man, I know we talk about this a lot. We're talking about two teams that are driven largely by their frontline players. And of course, Connecticut, we talking Bree Jones, Alyssa Thomas or our Lippian, and then of course we're talking DeWanda Bonner. And then of course in Minnesota we got Nafisa Collier who finished second in MVP balloting and rightfully so. I mean, had an amazing year. So then of course they got Elena Smith. So many different people that Minnesota has on their front line as well. But having said that, we know we love point guards on this show. Hashtag point guard life. Courtney Williams, we talked about in the previous one. 23 was the number. She only played 23 minutes because she was in foul trouble. She played 31 minutes because she didn't have to deal with as much foul trouble in this closeout game. And man, did we get a performance. Again, I know you're going to touch on those numbers, but Courtney Williams controlled this game from the point guard position. So much so that she outplayed Ty Harris and the combination of Ty Harris and Veronica Burton. And then also, when you start talking about that point guard position off the bench, when Minnesota goes to Natisha Heidemann, that's another way that they get paint touches because she can make the three, but she's also quick enough to get to push the tempo and get into the paint too. So they have a two-headed monster, even if they're not quote unquote pure point guards, which they can get away with because Nafisa Collier is such a great playmaker when they put her at the five. But when you get solid play from Courtney Williams, who was great, she wasn't solid. She was great yesterday. And Natisha Heidemann is doing what she did. She had 16 points in the previous game. Man, this was decided in the backcourt. And when Connecticut is struggling getting that production, and here's the other thing, their number one shooter from three, their number one threat from three, Marina Mabry, got hurt. I think she played only 14 minutes, and she got hurt, and she still tried to gut it out because that's what I expect Marina to do. But at the same time, if they had any chance of trying to get back into the game, stretching the floor, playing AT at the five, and playing faster was their way. When Marina Mabry went down, that really, really hurt Connecticut.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the offensive firepower that they were going to miss that I mentioned earlier. Just I gave some key points yesterday on the pregame post about what I thought were keys of the game for both teams. For Minnesota, I said Nafisa Collier needed an MVP type like for performance. Elena Smith has to show up, and then I said good point PG play from Courtney Williams. Um, Ultimately, they did those two. Connecticut, I said Alyssa Thomas need to be aggressive on the offensive end. Good perimeter shooting from the backcourt, 16 to 18 points from the Dewana Bonner. Now, click it over to the game stats. Dewana Bonner, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Alyssa Thomas, 7 points in 39 minutes. And then the backcourt shooting from Ty Harris and Carrington, 8 for 22. Not going to get it done. Marina Mabry was off to a good start. She shot 3 for 5, 2 for 4 from the 3. Unfortunate chain of events for the videographers and photographers being underground, but we'll get to that. But yeah, just didn't reach my key points of the game. But then you flip it over to Minnesota, MVP type performance, 27 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, 10 for 16 from the field, 1 for 2 from the 3, and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. Then I said good point guard play from Courtney Williams, 24 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 9 for 16 is key, and 3 for 3 from the 3 and 3 for 3 from the free throw line. And then, of course, when you get those type performances, Elena Smith didn't have to do much.
Right.
7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 for 3 from the field. And that's the scary thing about Minnesota. They can get it done from a lot of different people. You mentioned Natisha Heidemann. She had 7 points, 3 for 4 shooting. They shot almost 50%. They were 34 from 69 from the field, 38% from the 3. They put up 26 threes last night, which mostly, Kayla McBride I want to get to. When she has a big night, it's all good for Minnesota. She's totally capable of putting the ball in a bucket. But, like I said, this team can hurt you in so many different ways that you don't miss performances from certain players. And she's one of them that can get lost in the sauce. But then you look up and she has a 19-point game. And she had 14 in the first half. That 14 was more than she scored in any game in this series. So that lets you know what type of start that they had. And she was 8 for 16 and 3 for 9 from the 3. And then you look at it, Bridget Carlton only had 2 points. The one benefit I will say from a Cheryl Reeve team is that no matter what they do on the offensive end, they're going to play defense. So you may look at a player type Bridget Carlton who only had 2 points, but she was good on defense. She still was a plus 13. So that meant she was doing all the intangibles for her team to get this win. It's just I think we got the finals that everybody kind of anticipated. I even dived into the numbers, getting into that. Before we move on to a finals preview, Lindsay Whalen was at the game last night. One of the best, PGs to play the game. Big guard for real. It was good to see her in the stands. Minnesota hadn't been to the finals in a while. I don't have the exact. When was the last time Minnesota been in the finals? I think I got it right here.
I don't know, but I know that they've
2017. 2017.
Yep.
That's the last time they've been to the finals. Connecticut was. I talked about them too. They were on a mean run, man, since 2019. 2019, they were 23 and 11, lost in the finals. 2020, 10 and 12, lost in the semifinals. Obviously, that was a COVID year. 2021, 26 and 6, lost in the semifinals. 2022, 25-11 lost in the finals. And this season, 27-13 lost in the semifinals. Now, obviously, they have some decisions to make. Um, you know, they have some key free agents coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see. I don't really want to dive too much into that right now because we'll get into that like in the off season and transactions and movements and different things of that nature. But they definitely have some decisions coming up. They got a lot of free agents. You've been trying to, produce championship results with that same core of players for a while now, and they have not managed to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But now, moving forward, we got the Liberty and we got the Connecticut Sun. Hey, Willie, I want you to give your break.
The Liberty and the Lynx.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah, the Liberty and the Lynx. Of course, the Liberty had a home court advantage, and I think that could pay dividends for the Liberty. I want you to give your thoughts on the championship game that we have, the championship series we have in front of us.
It's interesting, man, because when you look at teams that typically play in the finals, especially when they have a lot of offensive firepower and they can do it in multiple ways, we tend to focus on that and we don't think about the defense nearly as much. In terms of defensive rating, we have two of the top three teams in the league playing in the finals, in addition to all the offensive versatility that they have. It's interesting, man, because, when you look at, and this is one of the things that I feel like helps Caitlin Clark, when you look at teams, as much as you and I are about point guards, hashtag point guard life, right? Really, when you start looking at teams that win championships, you have to have great point guard play, but you also got to have those point guards that can sometimes double as like two guards when you have a dominant front court player, a dominant wing that can boogie a little bit too. So those point guards have to be able to get off the ball and be able to get offensive opportunities while that dominant big or that dominant wing also does their thing also, and be able to get those spot up threes and be threats with the ball, without the ball in their hands. That's what we see in Sabrina Ionescu, as she has really made this transition and having an awesome year. She can not only initiate the offense, but when Stewie brings it up, she can get out the way. When Benijah Laney Hamilton gets it, she can get out the way. When Leona Phoebus gets it and brings it up, Sabrina can get out the way and Sav can spot up and get open for shots. That really helps, man, to diversify your offense. And you know this as a coach, you know this as a player. When you have some predictability, when your defense gets a chance to say, all right, we can get back and relax and wait until their only decision maker gets the ball in their hands. You are really getting a minute to breathe. You're getting a minute to stack your defense, and you're getting a minute to act off of that little bit of predictability. Other side, when we look at Minnesota, it's the same thing. People look at it and say with Courtney Williams, man, she made people, maybe point guard is not her natural position. I tell you what, when you play with a front court player like Fee, who could bring it up, boogie, make decisions, primary decision maker, not a secondary decision maker. When you play with the player like that, guess what it gets for you if you know how to play the point guard and the two? Scoring opportunities, easy scoring opportunities. You can invert your offense. You can do all those things, man. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this matchup.
No doubt. I was looking over the season series between these two, and Minnesota dominated, man. 3-1. One of those wins, of course, coming in the Commissioner's Cup. Out of those 3 wins, Nafisa Collier was not the leading scorer in those games. That was a key thing that I looked at. The other thing is that When the New York Liberty did happen to win, it was a big night from Jonquel Jones. She had 21 points, 12 rebounds, and they held Minnesota to 8 points in the fourth quarter. Those are some of the keys. Mainly, Jonquel Jones is what we always talk about. That she needs to have a big game in order for them to be successful,
No question.
especially in this series. I feel like Minnesota, the combination that Minnesota has, and mind you, these were all games before they picked up Hines Allen, who I think is going to be a major factor in this series. I think the difference between the Liberty and the Sun is I think it's going to be more physical. Um, you're going to see Stewie be a lot more aggressive. Um, she poses more of a threat than any interior player, well, any inside outside player that Connecticut has. Um, I think that's going to be a big part about it. Man, I'm. It's kind of funny because even though Minnesota dominated in the regular season, I still think this is a balanced matchup. You got two
Absolutely.
MVP caliber players and Breonna Stewart and Afisa Collier, and then you got a bunch of X factors. Um, Sabrina Ionescu, Courtney Williams. I think the two guard position could really be up in the air, um, depending on what type of night Kayla McBride has. And then with the lineup that the New York Liberty are running, with the big lineup, you don't Phoebus, I think, is going to play a major role in that. Um,
Absolutely.
I just think it's going to be a contrast of styles, which is, I think, is very similar because when the Liberty want to, they play through Breonna Stewart. Of course, we know that the Minnesota Lynx, they play through Nafisa Collier. But and both players, as talented that they are, they're unselfish. Um, they're not overly aggressive. They pick their spots. Um, I'm having a hard time choosing who I think is going to win the series. My heart, of course, is with New York, but I would not be surprised if Minnesota take care of business. I see this being either a 4 to 5 game series. I don't see anybody getting swept. Um, I'm still rolling with the same theme though, that if New York handles business in the first 2 games, I doubt they lose the series. I would put that either way. If Minnesota was to go 2-0 and they had home court advantage, I probably would side with Minnesota. But New York is looking for a championship. uh, Seriously, they've kind of been in the same boat with Connecticut as far as making it to the semis and making it to the championship, and not being able to come up. They come up short, but I think this is their year. They've been the best team from the beginning to the end, up until this point. No matter if Minnesota dominated the regular season series, they've been a number one team the majority of the season. So by record. Um, and I think they got all the tools. I think the bench was the main thing that I was concerned about. That's no longer really an issue, especially if Courtney Vandersloot is going to be able to come off the bench and provide what she's been doing thus far. Um, Anything else you want to say? I mean, because of course, game is tomorrow. But we'll be recapping game one following after. But um, not really much going on. I think me and you talked earlier. There's not a lot of storylines with this series. It's strictly hoops. No drama yet. So
Right.
we getting good basketball. We getting high quality basketball from the best two teams that the WNBA had to offer. Um, Not too much else to say. I mean, I really can't wait to see how these teams stack up against each other. Um, Sandy Brondello, Cheryl Reeves, both championship coaches. Um, I do want to hop on the Cheryl Reed bandwagon for a minute because she went out and made a championship team. Um, I don't think if you'd have asked anybody at the beginning of the season, would the Lynx be in the position that they're in right now? She basically rebuilt the roster, brought in a lot of players. Um, you know, this season, between this season and last season, and built a championship team. Um, you look at Courtney Williams, came from another team. You look at Elena Smith, uh, brought her in. Bridget Carr, and then the steal at the end of the season, Hines Allen. Um, no, I doubt too many people seen that coming. But she just and they're not doing this with a deep roster. She's only going, 8 players max, if that. I want to say 7, more like 7.5, because you don't always get double-digit minutes from too many players off the bench. Anything else you want to add, Willie?
No, I'm just really looking forward to seeing this series. New York is going to be interesting because we always say that, the defense wins championships, offense wins games, defense wins championships. And again, we're seeing 2 of the best 3 teams in the league in terms of defensive rating. But offensive rating, the Liberty lead the league in offensive rating this past year. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this series, man. Like, I think if you ask me, I've been going against them. I think the Liberty win the series, but again, to your point, it wouldn't shock me at all if Minnesota's able to impose their will and pull, at least take home court advantage, and win one in New York. That wouldn't surprise me.
Got you. Just a few things to point out. Nafisa Collier, with her having 25 plus points and 10 plus rebounds in 3 straight playoff games, that is a WNBA record. Last time that the Minnesota Lynx went to the WNBA Finals, they won it all. That's something to track. Of course, New York, this is their 2nd consecutive trip to the WNBA Finals. But yeah, just two good teams, some great players, obviously. And that game will take place tomorrow, I believe, 8 p.m. On ESPN. Got anything you want to get off your chest? Hey, Willie, gotta ask something, brother.
I want people to just watch these games and be appreciative, man. Like, it's, I definitely want to get to the point where we are able to have nuanced conversations about player performance and it not be personal. Watch the games and appreciate the greatness, y'all.
Yeah. Now, kicking it outside of the WNBA, you had JuJu yesterday. Signed a lucrative deal with Nike. I think I seen you talk about that a little bit on social media. JuJu not being in the WNBA yet, and signing such a lucrative deal with Nike. I think it's a 5-year deal or something like that. It says one of the richest shoe endorsements in women's basketball. Your thoughts on that, Willie?
Yeah. Man, you shouldn't ask me these things. Fight on. Let's go, JuJu. Get your money. No, it's great, man, because again, there are a couple things that we're talking about here as you look at JuJu. The main thing is the main thing. Number one, she can obviously hoop. She finished 2nd in scoring to Caitlin Clark last year in the NCAA. Team made it to the Elite Eight, so they won as well at a very, very high level. Man, USC is loaded this year. On paper, the most talented team in the country. So it's about her production. It's obviously about her being in, what do we say, OG? Prepare for the worst, but expect the best no matter what life takes you. Come home to the West. So because she is in LA, right, that helps this deal. And so what you see Nike doing is leveraging the fact that she is in LA because once she gets to the W, you really don't have any control over who wins the lottery, where she's going to go, all of those things. Right now, they are leveraging the fact that she's a great player in college in a major, major market as well. And of course, going off the fact that women's basketball is continuing to grow, women's sports are continuing to grow, and JuJu is a great ambassador for the game. Those are all the reasons why this deal took place. Because Paige also has a great deal, and Paige will have her own colorway of shoes this year at UConn, man. And hey, I'm telling y'all need to walk with us on this. We trying to go to see in Connecticut. We're trying to go see UConn and USC in women's college basketball this year. It is going to be a movie. I cannot wait to see that, man.
No doubt in it. And the crazier thing is that she signs this deal being a sophomore in college after having a breakout freshman season where she averaged 27.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.3 assists. A lot of people mentioned about whether they think that if she's going to even get close to Caitlin Clark's record, and I said no, for the simple fact is USC is loaded.
She played with too many dogs.
Yeah, this season they're loaded, and I see that being a theme from here on out is that players are going to want to go to USC and play with JuJu, and I think they're going to be in a championship contention not only this year but probably the remaining time while she's at USC. So I don't think that stat is going to be broken anytime soon. If it does, that means USC is just running the table. And nobody's coming close. But if you don't have anything else to say, we're going to get out of here. And, my last words is just like A. Willie said, tune in, watch the games, let's talk hoops. I kind of taking that punchline from my cousin, but a little bit. But just talk about the game.
Facts.
Keep it about the game. I know that a lot of outside things come into play. Me, of all people, being a troll that I am, I make jokes and light of situations. But at the end of the day, it's for the pure love of the game. We got the two best teams at this time of this year. Like I said, we're getting close to the end, the crowning the champion. Like I said, my heart's torn. I guess I'm gonna stay rocking with the Liberty. But I'm a huge Nafisa Collier fan.
Absolutely.
And let's get ready even for a treat. Keep chiming into the show. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts about what we do, and chime into the game as well. I'll be posting about it live time on my Facebook page. But like I always say, if you don't remember anything, remember, I'm here to laugh, show love, promote, talk sports, movies, joke, and troll. Catch you on the next episode.